When the Sumerians first began using cuneiform writing, their view of the world changed forever. Until then, history was passed down only through myths and legends, where truth was blurred with imagination. But when the first scribes pressed their signs into clay tablets, stories gained weight. Once upon a time, slowly turned into recorded history. And among these early records we find the first chronicles of war. It was a time when the city-states of Sumer competed for power, prestige, and divine favor. Each city was a kingdom unto itself, with its temples, priests, and rulers. Though they shared language and faith, rivalry was constant. They fought for water, fertile land, and for the sacred right to call themselves the true king of Sumer. From these rivalries emerged the earliest documented wars in human history. Around 2800 BC, Uruk was ruled by King Meski-Agashur. Uruk was the pride of Mesopotamia. Its great walls stretched 6 miles long, protecting over 50,000 inhabitants, making it one of the largest cities in the world. Inside its walls rose temples to the gods, Enlil, An, and the radiant Inanna, goddess of love and war. Yet despite its size and power, Uruk lacked one thing. The title King of Sumer still belonged to Kish. That city's ruler was seen as the rightful overlord, blessed by the temple of Enlil. Every king who wished to rule had to be recognized by Kish. For Meski-Agashur this was an unbearable truth. Instead of direct conquest, he turned his gaze to trade. He knew that whoever controlled the trade routes controlled power itself. Caravans crossed deserts and mountains, ships sailed into the Persian Gulf, bringing timber, stone, and precious metals. Without metal, there could be no weapons, no tools, no temples. Meski-Agashur dreamed of opening the path to Magan, modern-day Oman, home of the legendary Copper Mountains. To command Magan's wealth was to command destiny itself. Meski-Agashur died before his ambitions were fulfilled. His son Enmerkar took the throne, a man of pride and determination. Legends say he crossed the seas and ascended the mountains. His eyes were set not on Kish, but on the distant city of Arata, hidden in the mountains near the Caspian Sea. Arata was no Sumerian city. Its people spoke a strange tongue and worshipped foreign gods. Yet it was rich with gold, silver, and the blue stone lapis lazuli. Enmerkar demanded tribute for the goddess Inanna, honored in both Uruk and Arata. But the king of Arata refused. Messages flew back and forth, threats and promises carried by weary messengers. Finally, Enmerkar declared war. But conquering a mountain fortress proved impossible. The armies faltered, supply lines broke, and Enmerkar's dream of subduing Arata collapsed. His dynasty faded into history. Generations later, Uruk rose again, under a new king, Gilgamesh. Young, restless, and fierce, he longed not just for power but for immortality. Unlike his predecessors, he was not the son of a king but of a high priest. His claim to the throne was fragile, yet he seized it with force and vowed that his reign would never be forgotten. Gilgamesh was both builder and warrior. He strengthened Uruk's mighty walls, rallied soldiers, and set his sights on Kish, the eternal rival. Kish's king, Enmebaragesi, had ruled for decades, building temples and wielding divine authority. To defeat him would mean eternal fame. Gilgamesh gathered his army, spearmen, archers, war chariots, and colossal cedar logs to batter Kish's gates. Songs of victory rang through the ranks, but when the assault began, his people lost courage. The citizens of Uruk refused to follow him any further. The siege failed, not from defeat in battle, but from rebellion within. Gilgamesh was forced to retreat. Though humiliated, Gilgamesh did not abandon his ambition. His hunger for glory was boundless. He sought not only to rule but to transcend death itself. Stories of his journeys spread, his battles with monsters, his friendship with the wild man Enkidu, his desperate search for eternal life. Whether fact or legend, these tales were written onto clay tablets, preserved for millennia. For the first time, wars were recorded not as myths of gods, but as chronicles of men. Victories and defeats were inscribed into history, and at the center stood Gilgamesh, a king, a warrior, and a man who became immortal, not through conquest but through story. And so the question remains, was Gilgamesh merely a king who fought and failed against Kish, or was he truly the first great hero of history? A man who achieved immortality through the power of legend. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to follow and subscribe to the History Forge, leave a like, share your thoughts in the comments, and stay with us for more untold stories from history.